Hello students, how are you? Since we don't have class this week, we're having some videos about the topics that we're learning. So please watch these videos and follow along on the documents attached to learn more about our topics. And our first topic is narrative paragraph. So that's what we wrote last week for homework, and that's what we're writing this week for homework. Narrative paragraphs tell a story or describe an event. Um, for example, when you watch a movie, you are usually watching a narrative. The same when you read a book, a novel. You are reading a narrative. A narrative paragraph can be fun to write because you often describe an event from your own life. So here are some features of a narrative paragraph. It tells a story. It has a clear beginning, a middle, and an end, and it uses descriptive words to help the reader better understand the exact feelings and events. So, in terms of writing narrative paragraphs in college, you might use them in a report. For example, the example they give is in science class, or creative writing, or theater classes. So, um, there are several parts of a narrative paragraph, and the first part is the topic sentence. So, in almost every paragraph, we begin with a topic sentence. That explains the main idea of the story that is going to come. So, we will see some examples of that in the beginning. In a minute, I mean. Next, we have, so the topic sentence is the first sentence, and it kind of gives like a preview or lets us know what the whole paragraph will be about. The second part is the beginning of the story, where you say where the story takes place, maybe feelings that people have. In the middle of the story, you're going to explain what happened, what's the main action or problem. And at the end of the story, you're going to give the final action or result. And if there's a problem or conflict in the story, the solution would be presented here. So let's look at an example paragraph, which is called My Department Store Nightmare. My Department Store Nightmare. So I suggest that you pause the video to read to read this one, and then we will come back. Okay, so you can see that the paragraph begins with a topic sentence. I will never forget the first time I got lost in New York City. So we know all that this paragraph is going to be about is about getting lost in New York City. That's the topic sentence that tells us what the paragraph will be about. The beginning gives the background information. I was traveling with my parents. We were in a department store. I was so excited. And then the middle tells the actual action that happened, that he lost his mom, started crying, and all that other important information. And then in the end, you see that you also have a concluding sentence that shows the result. The story took place more than 20 years ago, but every time I see a department store, it reminds me of that scared little boy. Now, you can see that after this we have a few questions. I think that you could pause and go ahead and work on those questions a little bit. But you can see that this is a simple narrative paragraph that starts with a topic sentence, tells a story, and then in the end tells the meaning of the story. So this one is kind of a simple one about a scary event that happened in someone's life. But let's look at another one that they give us that's about another person, and it's based on a photo. So this one is called The Photo That Changed His Life. The photo that changed his life. So pause the video and take a moment to read this paragraph. Okay, so in this paragraph, we can see that the first sentence is going to be the topic sentence, and it kind of gives us, it was a freezing cold winter day. Mountain climber Corey Richards was climbing down from Gasherbrum to the 13th tallest mountain peak in the world when his life changed in an instant. Okay, so in this sentence, you get the background information, like where is the person, who is the person, and you also get that main idea. The main idea is that something changed in his life in this moment. So So that is a topic sentence, okay? Then we have the beginning of the paragraph. The mountain, which lies between Pakistan and China, is not an easy one to climb, and the cold that day was painful. It hurt. Okay, so that's sort of the beginning of the paragraph. It's giving the location and some background information. Then you see all of the action in the middle of the story. So in the middle of the story, they see a landslide, snow and ice coming to them, and luckily they survived. So then we can see after he saw that his partners were safe, Richards took photos of himself, which captured the terror he had just experienced. One of these photos was on the cover of National Geographic magazine. Soon he was a well-known photographer and explorer for National Geographic. So this is the end kind of comment part about the end of the story. And then we have sometimes something unexpected can change your life forever. So unexpected means surprising. And this sentence, this ending sentence, connects back to the topic sentence where it says that his life changed forever. Okay, so you can see, review again these questions about the paragraph, and this paragraph is a great example. So for your homework this week, you will be writing some narrative paragraphs also. So when you create your own narrative paragraph, please try to work on those key parts that are mentioned in this document. Okay, and those are the topic sentence. I'll zoom it out a little bit. The topic sentence, beginning of the story, middle of the story, and end of the story. The topic sentence, beginning of the story, middle of the story, and end of the story. Okay, so here are some of the topics that you'll be writing about. Tell about the life of a famous person. So that will be a good topic where you're writing about someone else. Write about an important lesson that you learned from a real experience. So think about something that happened to you, but focus on what did you learn from it? What did you learn from it? That would be great to write the topic sentence and then explain what happened. And then in the end, write the concluding sentence and explain what you learned. You can also write about how someone you know got in trouble. And then in the last part, you can look at these pictures. So there's 4 topics. You only need to choose 3 for the journals. So look at the pictures and write a story of what happened. So you can see there are little numbers to show the order of the pictures. However, if you are writing, please don't use these numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I want you to use some transition words instead. So you can use transition words, which are in this document here that you can look at. You can use transition words in any of the narrative paragraphs in order to show what happens first, second, or third. So transition means change, and we use transitions to show a time change in the paragraph. So here you can see a list of words and phrases that are transitions, and you can kind of keep that handy while you're writing to try to incorporate some of those transition words into it. And you can also notice that the transition usually, not always, but usually comes at the beginning of the sentence and is followed by a comma. That means there's a comma after it. So we can say first and next and then, or we can use some of these after that, later, finally, and we can also use these time expressions that show what time things happened. Okay, so this is the first part of the video, and in the next part of the video, I'm going to be talking about how to add more details to your writing. So please watch that part next. Thanks.